Let's get the elephant out of the room. Tim Cook is a billionaire, and yes, he's gay. Right, now that we've covered that, here we have 15 way more interesting things to share with you about the current CEO of Apple Inc. Number 1. Who is Tim Cook and who does he get his advice from? Handpicked by Steve Jobs to take over the role of CEO of Apple, Tim Cook is also the man who was behind Apple becoming the first publicly traded U.S. company to hit $2 trillion in market value in 2020. This was 2 years after the company hit $1 trillion in market value. The significant increase has been credited to COVID, where Apple stock was up nearly 60%. To compare Apple to other well-known companies, Amazon's market cap is roughly $1.7 trillion, Microsoft at $1.6 trillion, and Alphabet at $1 trillion. Cook gets his advice from the creme de la creme: Warren Buffett, Bill Clinton, Lloyd Bankfine, CEO of Goldman Sachs, Laureen Powell Jobs, founder of Emerson Collective, and Anderson Cooper, CNN anchor. Number 2. Cook is a green believer. When it comes to greens, Tim Cook not only enjoys eating them, but he's passionate about going green globally. In one annual meeting, he told climate change skeptic investors to ditch their stocks if they don't support his pledge to slash greenhouse gas emissions. In 2020, in his speech for the 5th anniversary of the Paris Climate Agreement, he put forward that it's completely doable to be an environmentally conscious company while still making a profit. And Luxers, we'd love for you to keep in the loop with our latest videos, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and get that bell notification the moment we release our daily videos. Number 3. He calls bullshit on "if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life." Tim Cook loves what he does, but the saying, "if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life," he believes is a total crock. As published on CNBC.com, Cook says when you find a job you're passionate about, you will work hard, but you won't mind doing so. You will work harder than you ever thought possible, but the tools will feel light in your hands. Currently, a project that is bringing him great joy is Apple TV+. Cook has been invited on the set of For All Mankind and is 100% enthusiastic about it. Do you think Apple could take on Netflix? We're keen to find out, so watch our video, "Can Apple Take on Netflix in the Streaming Wars?" to see if you believe they can. Number 4. He's a firm believer in privacy, in Apple and his personal life. In January 2021, Cook spoke at the Computers, Privacy, and Data Protection Conference as part of Data Privacy Day. He felt that privacy was as important as climate change and that both would have profound impact on future generations. He was concerned that if people knew they were being monitored all the time, what would they stop doing? He said, "What changes do you then make in your own behavior? What do you do less of? What do you not do anymore? What are you not as curious about anymore if you know that each time you're on the web looking at different things, exploring different things, you're going to wind up constricting yourself more and more and more and more?" That kind of world is not a world that any of us should aspire to. Number 5. Apple has bought out small businesses every 3 to 4 weeks. Tim Cook and Apple have been rather busy over the past 6 years, buying out a small business every few weeks. This news was presented to shareholders on the 23rd of February at the shareholders' annual meeting. BBC.com reported that Cook explained the acquisitions were mostly aimed at acquiring technology and talent. Here are a few examples of some of the bigger buys. Beats Electronics for $3 billion, Shazam for $400 million, and the Chinese ride-hailing service Didi Chuxing with a $1 billion stake in the company. Number 6. His fitness regime is of the absolute importance to him. Cook obviously wants to keep fit, but one of the driving forces behind his fitness routine was his misdiagnosis of MS. Multiple sclerosis is a hard one to diagnose. In Cook's case, he was diagnosed when he was just 36. Multiple sclerosis is a disabling disease of the brain and spinal cord, and it affects individuals differently. When Cook got his diagnosis, he was thrown, but it made him see and acknowledge the world completely differently. He started donating to charity and raised millions for various causes. He also became fixated on his health and fitness, opting for cycling, hiking, and rock climbing whenever and wherever he could. Number 7. Cook is excellent at saving money and is considered frugal. There's a book called Haunted Empire: Apple After Steve Jobs, written by Yukari Itawani Kane, which you can listen to here on Audible. The book highlights various aspects of his personality, including labeling him inapproachable, icy, with a detached management style. Good points included calm and composed, and ruthless in his execution. It went further to call him relentlessly frugal with inhuman stamina. When Steve Jobs persuaded Cook to join Apple in 1998, the company was almost bankrupt, and look at it today. As mentioned, the company hit $2 trillion in market value. And coming up, why Cook's vision is for you to use Apple products less. Number 8. He is a workaholic, sending his first emails off at 4:30 a.m. Cook has proclaimed that he is a workaholic and gets up at 4 a.m. every morning, and by 4:30, he's responding to emails. He probably needs all that extra time because he receives up to 800 emails a day. After that, he hits the gym, and by 6:30 a.m., he's at the office. Not only is he the first to arrive, but he's also the last to leave and then does it all over again. Number 9. The future of Apple with Cook. So, Alexers, what does Tim Cook envision for the future of Apple? Would you believe us if we said to use Apple products less? Here's what he says. We do not want people using our products too much. We want to create them in such a way people get the most out of them in short periods of time to free themselves up to do whatever it is they want to do. Number 10. What does he spend his money on? Tim Cook has a net worth of $1 billion, but despite that, he doesn't really spend a lot. According to BusinessInsider.com, he buys his underwear at Nordstrom's semi-annual sale. Cook doesn't earn as much as other CEOs from big corporations. In 2017, he ranked 71 on America's highest-paid CEOs, according to consulting platform Equilar. One of the obvious reasons is the lack of funding equity in Apple. But this doesn't deter him from still giving his all to Apple. Reports suggest he gives away most of his fortune to philanthropic causes. Number 11. He sits on the board of directors for Nike. And just when you thought that Cook really didn't have any extra time, he still sits on the board of directors for Nike. In 2016, Nike announced that Phil Knight, their chairman, had retired from the board of directors. Mark Parker took over the additional position. Nike recruited Tim Cook as their lead independent director of the board. He had already been a director since 2005. Nike and Apple have always been close. There was Nike Plus on Apple's portable devices. Apple created playlists called Nike Sport Mixes, and if there's a tech product in a Nike commercial, it's usually an Apple product. Number 12. Why the feud between Facebook and Apple? We've mentioned Cook's stance on privacy, both in terms of Apple and his own privacy, and recently a war of words has emerged between Mark Zuckerberg and Tim Cook. Cook quoted, "An interconnected ecosystem of companies and data brokers, of purveyors of fake news and peddlers of division, of trackers and hucksters, just looking to make a quick buck, is more present in our lives than it's ever been." Is it safe to assume he was referring to Facebook? We kinda think so, and with Facebook being in the limelight with privacy issues, Apple is ready to give its users transparency in their privacy. There are two things that will happen. Privacy nutrition label. Every app in the App Store needs to inform people of their data collection and privacy practices in a way that is simple to understand by everyone. And app tracking transparency. This will show users which apps requested permission to track data and gives them the option to block them. The feud is set to continue, with Cook commenting, "Too many are still asking the question, how much can we get away with, when they need to be asking, what are the consequences?" Number 13. Is Tim Cook a better CEO than Steve Jobs was? Forbes.com highlights a book that confirms Tim Cook is a better CEO than Jobs was. The book, by Leander Kahney, is called Tim Cook, the Genius Who Took Apple to the Next Level. Steve Jobs relied heavily on Cook when he was battling with cancer. Cook stood in several times, and despite the two being completely opposite in temperament with little in common, save for rock and roll from the 60s, they were able to work well together. Number 14. Cook has helped ease hostilities between the US and China. 22-year-old Chinese student He Shiji had an 18-minute chat with Tim Cook in an effort to appease young consumers. Shiji has 6 million followers on Chinese video site Bilibili, and the interview has been viewed millions of times. The video was released at the right time as hostilities between Beijing and Washington seem to be subsiding after Chinese President Xi Jinping and President Joe Biden discussed repairing US-China relations. Number 15. A phone that will be bigger than an iPhone. Cook confirmed that Apple were currently working on a phone that would be bigger than the iPhone. There's apparently a new patent suggesting that Apple is looking into technology that allows a phone display with a 60 Hz default refresh rate to operate at up to 240 Hz, according to BGR.com. And Cook knows that iPhone is great, but he's also keen to incorporate more health and wellness into the products. The Apple Watch, for example, is credited for saving lives. A Georgian man with blood clots claims the watch saved his life, and a runner was alerted of heart problems he didn't even know he had. So we'll just have to hurry up and wait, because this teaser sounds like it is worth waiting for. So Aluxers, what do you believe Cook could do to improve the overall working of Apple? Do you feel like he's doing an excellent job as CEO? We'd love to hear the opinions of our true Aluxers. And because you're a true Aluxer, you're here for the bonus. Here it is. WWJD. No, we're not talking about those silicone bangles that were the craze 20 years ago, asking what would Jesus do? In this case, it's what would Jobs do? And when taking over as CEO of Apple, it was one question that Cook said he would never ask. Instead of wondering what Steve Jobs would have done in a similar situation, he believes to always do what is right. And that's been his mantra since stepping up as CEO of Apple Inc. Thanks for watching, Aluxers. We're so glad to have you as a part of our journey. Remember to subscribe as we have so many incredible videos to share with you, and we always appreciate your thumbs up.